Okay, now once again I'm going to look at the Embird version of a folk design. I did do a whole set. I made the mistake of doing the same flower that I chose for the Genome, but I hadn't realised it. Something definitely going wrong with the old grey matter. Okay, I'm in Embird Manager, but I want to go now into Editor. And to get to Editor, I have to press the far left icon on the icon toolbar. An Editor comes up. Now it's in here that you actually set your hoops. You can do it before or you can do it after you've done a design. And all you have to do is click on the hoop symbol. It's up here in the icon toolbar. You click on that and you choose whatever type machine you've got. You choose the hoop for that. Well, I've got the 10,000 with the RE hoop, and actually the RE hoop is for the 11,000, but they don't list that separately. Okay, so I'm just going to tell that okay. And I'm going to go straight into Studio. And there's my Studio page. And I need to go to Edit, Preferences. Thread width 4.5 pixels. No, I don't want it up at that width. I want it smaller. I'm going to make mine 2.5. Okay. You can see the tabs. Yours may open up differently to mine. I don't know. I'm going to go to Grid. And I use a 2mm grid with a 1mm subdivision. And I don't see the 1mm till I'm really heavily magnified. I don't auto-save or backup files. Hoop is a misnomer. We are not setting a hoop. We did that in Editor. What we're doing in here is we are setting a workspace. Now, if you want a smallish design, you set a smallish workspace. You set the width for what you want yours to be and a height for what you want it to be. Now, also remember that if you've got a graphic and it sits here and the rest of it is white, Embird is going to see that white as all part of the graphic. So before you import a graphic into this program, crop it. You don't want an ocean of white around your graphic. I'm going to ask for a width of, I think, 80mm. Tell that OK. And a height 120. That should be enough. OK, apply. I'm just going to lower the magnification. Right, there you see my workspace, and it's 40mm on the right hand side of the 0, which sits there, and 40mm this side. It's, drop that, it's confusing me. It's 60mm above the 0, which is here, and 60mm below the 0. So now I go to Image, Import, and we're going to do a Tyrolean tulip. It's a single element. There we go. And I'll tell that open, and it says, do you want to scale this to fit into your current hoop? And I say yes. It's come in and it's 62, 4, 6, 8, 68, 70, 72, 74, 76mm wide, and it looks as though it's still almost 120 tall. So your workspace governs the size of your image. I like a border around mine, so I go back into Image and I say Edit Image Window, and I get a little pop-up, and I go along to the one on the far right, click on that, and I tell it, give me 5mm. And it puts a 5mm band all the way around my graphic. So if I do accidentally stray out here, it's not going to be a huge problem. Then I go back into Image, Background Filters. And because I'd like to be able to see my nodes, I'm bleeding some of the colour out of the lines. Apply. There we go. So let's just drop this down a bit and look at this. We have a main stem and a gap. We don't want that gap, so we'll carry that right on through. We have a subsidiary vein coming out to a cluster of flowers. Now, you can choose to take that into the center. You can choose to just take it up in between the pair of them there. This applies to any graphic that you decide to use. You don't want discrete objects floating away, because then you're going to have jumps. For instance, these I'm going to join to the main stem. Same with this, and the same with this. I'm going to give these stamens. All because I don't want jumps and I don't want unnecessary trims, because every trim triggers a little clump of stitches, 3 or 4, to tie off the thread before it actually cuts. Then triggers another 3 and 4 when it goes to start again. And it would happen down in here for your run line and so on. I try to minimize things like trim stitches, tie stitches. There's really not an awful lot of need for them if you digitize logically. Now, my logic is probably not the same as yours, so you might do the same design and come up with a totally different way of doing it, which wouldn't be wrong, it would just be your way. One of the reasons I don't really like doing blow-by-blow lessons is because I don't want people to slavishly follow what I do. What I want you to do is understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Also to understand how the tools work that I use. And I always try to keep to the basic tools. But on this particular design, we're going to look at various options. One of the things we're going to look at is strips, because they don't get used enough. And they give a very, very pleasant effect. And I think I'll actually do a strip now, because I have to save this graphic, show you exactly what I mean. Well, let's blow this back up. Now, to get to the strips menu, we have to go and pick up our column tool. Now, it's known as the side-to-side tool in some programs, parallel turning angle tool, the manual block. I'm trying to think of the other names that's given to it. It's got a whole host of different names, but it does the same job in all the programs. And I think I'll just start laying as if I was going to lay a design down here. Before I do that, I want my ruler. I want to measure the distance from there to there, and it's 2.73 millimeters. Okay, I'm going to go down and get my calculator. 2.73 divided by 5 equals 0.546. That's half a millimeter. That's a little bit low. Let me clear that first. 2.73 divided by 3, because we have to use odd numbers. That's nearly a millimeter. Okay, in case you're wondering what I'm doing, all will be revealed in a moment. Okay, I'm going to click on that point there, and I'm going to say cancel if it would give it to me. Thank you. And go and pick up this tool, and down here you'll see I've got strips. I click on that. And this is just under 3 millimeters wide. Widens out a bit at the bottom. Number 3 is the lowest I can go. It goes up in multiples of 2 from 3. And if you're only going to have one line, you just use a single run line. So I'm going to tell that OK and start laying my nodes. Thank you. Didn't really want to give me that, did you? And I'm on B. Got 3 options: A, B and C. I will show you all 3. You've got a curve, you've got a straight line. Straight line means no curve nodes are included. Curve means there is a curve node included. So 1, 2. I used to call this my ladder tool because it makes a ladder. As I go up my shape, you can see the rungs of the ladder. Those are my stitch angles. It's not quite so important when you're using strips, but it is very important you get those correct when you're using the column tool as a standard tool. highlight that one, come up to that one, that one, that one, that one, and we'll just bury it up inside there. Okay. And I like to generally tidy my nodes as I go along, and we all work differently. Right, now I'm going to tell it generate stitches. I'm going into 3D. I got 1, 2, 3 rows. Then I'm going to go back into parameters and tell it up a little bit to 5. Maximum length for the stitch. Okay, so I forgot to tell you. 3. I want it to follow along smoothly. Apply. Generate. And I want to show you that in 1:1. Now it's quite small, but the strips have followed the lines that I set when I laid my nodes. And it works in exactly the same way as the contour tool in Janome. You can use strips on leaves, flowers. You can overlay them on fills because they are quite loose. You can use them in a number of ways, and I'm always surprised more people don't use them. I love the contour effect. It gives me so many possibilities. Now I really need to save this graphic, and to do that I need to make a small line. Right click into that and tell it generate a stitch. Come over to design, save as, and call it Tyrol Tulip. Save. Okay, now in the next video I will show you the 3 offerings inside of the column tool. The A, the B and the C. So I'll see you in the next video.